Welcome back to Everything Film with Film Robot. Agencyclick presents Joe Leary along with Patrick Shelton from the Shark Club in downtown Vancouver. We have got a great guest. Her name is Gigi Saul Guerrero from Mexico City. You are into horror films.
Yes.
And I saw an interview with you, and before I met you, and you're such a wonderfully upbeat person. How would someone get so happy, get involved in horror films?
I'm crazy. I mean, I think I'm single for a reason. I'm just the darkest, weirdest person. But I think it all started because I come from a very Catholic, very religious Mexican house where we're just not allowed to watch horror movies. So I grew up not being allowed to watch any kind of genre film. So I think it was just that attraction to, that rebellion.
The rebellious
spirit.
Yeah,
right? Like that attraction to the forbidden fruit, I think is what changed everything. Sorry, Mom, it didn't work out.
But it's like being told you can't do something only inspires you to want to find out why can't you do it. I guess that's a natural
Don't push the red
inclination.
button. I'm going to push the red button.
You know what? I've often said this. I've watched horror films before, and I always think they're going to be bad, but they draw you in.
Yeah,
you watch it. Like some of the worst, like B cult horror films are pretty.
They're pretty
They're
awesome.
almost awesomely funny. So
Agreed.
I kind of think that's why they turn into cult status, and
yes.
Many do. And I mean, you'd probably know more about that than me. And what's your experience been like with that?
Well, I think there's a beautiful parallel with horror genre and comedy. I think they go hand in hand. Think of all our friends and family that they laugh when they're nervous. They laugh when they're scared. And I think only horror movies is the only kind of movie out there that in a full theater of an audience, you're going to hear all kinds of reactions. You're going to have the people that are squirming. You're going to have the people that are nervous laughing. You're going to have the people covering their eyes and laughing. And you're going to have crazy people like me who are cheering at every death scene and going nuts. Like no other movie can bring so many people together, right?
The problem is in the genre horror category, and in the genre of horror, there's a lot of schlock. There's a lot of laughable stuff. Do you love all, or are you sort of confined more to one area? Are there subgenres of horror now?
There totally is. And I think it's pretty amazing even how much more recognition there is to horror. Like, look, now they're being recognized for Academy Awards with Jordan Peele's work.
Sure.
So I think horror just continues to elevate. And not only that, it allows for social commentary. Even furthermore.
How do you capture the sense of horror when you're filming these things? Because obviously the effects, the sounds, the music background, that's all done in post-production.
Yes.
How can you sort of get that feeling, that gripping fear and terror in your eyes when you're playing to something, or perhaps you're playing to a green screen?
Well, from an actor's perspective, it really is your job and your commitment to really feel the part. That to really fear the terror that is in there, even though it's all fake blood, fake limbs, quote unquote. You just got to really imagine yourself there. It's so much fun. I think as an actor, it's the most fun thing to shoot is horror, honestly. And it's also escapism in a way. We have so much stuff in the world going on right now. It's good to escape and have a good time.
Yeah, where else can you actually, I would like to be in one of your shows and kill Joe. Just, cut your head off.
You
and
kill
see
me
the
every
blood,
show.
I feel like that would be incredibly satisfying.
Where else
for
can you
you
do that? Where else can you, no, but I think there's something to that, right?
Yes.
There's something like a gladiator mentality when you do horror films.
So true. It's epic.
To win.
It's
epic.
so epic.
Yeah, I like that.
And for horror fans, it's so much fun to see all these crazy deaths and blood splatters. And I get stoked. My mom's like, "Ay, mija, what is wrong with you?" But for me, it's like the most fun time.
Well, considering that you sort of approached this profession as a rebellious thing against your upbringing, is your mom cool with what you're doing now?
Well,
has she seen some of the work?
Yes, she has. Yeah. But I promised her one day I will work on or make a kid's film
Does
her.
Does she sit there watching it with the rosary beads in her hands?
Oh, totally. She's praying constantly, Padre Nuestro que estás en el, but definitely I have made both my parents now watch horror movies. Yeah. That was not a thing ever before.
Right.
The fact that I took them to see Get Out, Hereditary, that I had never been able to do in the past. So it's really cool that they're like, okay, I'm open to it, even though I'm suffering.
So you're described as part of the new wave of Latino talent. And you must be proud to think that, because I guess there was a time, if you look at early depictions in film, just in general, You know, it was like, man was the breadwinner and mom
Yes.
was in the kitchen and stuff. And that whole world has just completely gone away. And now anybody can be anything, and that's the way it should be.
I couldn't agree more. It's actually a great time, not just to be a filmmaker or an actor. It's just a great time right now to be part of the film industry because we're considering diversity. We're considering now new voices. We're now even like giving awards, big awards to films with subtitles. It's been such a struggle to challenge audiences to watch all kinds of stories and movies. So for me, being part of this Latinx wave is incredibly rewarding.
You actually turned me on to something on Netflix. You've given me a couple of recommendations during the height of the lockdown period. You recommended that film. I think it's called The Hidden Guest.
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, and this is great. And
Yeah.
again, because if you can be absorbed watching a film, you don't understand. You're actually reading the film. To me, that just says that you've hit the mark. And it's a film I would recommend you check out. The
I
Hidden
will.
Guest on Netflix. Very absorbing.
Excellent.
Okay, we got to talk about Puppet Killer because this thing, to me, we're talking about like cult and cultish
Yes.
things, and this is destined for cult status, it says.
100%.
I can't really wrap my head around the concept. So, and again, I'm not, I'm only a grade 12 education, that's it. Explain to us the concept of Puppet Killer.
Of course, Puppet Killer is a feature film that takes place to the beautiful winter holiday of Christmas, where these group of best friends from high school go celebrate Christmas at a cabin, but little did they know that they will encounter not just a very psychotic, but a very cute, furry psycho killer obsessed with horror movies that's going to torment their entire vacation.
And that involves Alex Panovic, who was
Yes.
on our previous episode. So it's kind of cool how all of these worlds come together. When you first heard of this, were you immediate? Was it Or was it really?
took me like zero hesitation, 0 seconds to say yes. I wanted to be a part of this, but also the cast is so cool. I mean, I've always wanted to work with Alex Panovic, Lima Jube, and especially Richard Harmon, who have been Vancouver's top actors, who work so hard. So for me, I was really excited to be part of that. And of course, the title, Puppet Killer. It sounds awesome, right? I wanted to be part of that.
So bizarre that it's probably
so
got to be
bizarre.
awesome. Just watching the trailer was mind-boggling. So this is open now, I understand, in the United States.
Correct. Yeah, it's open now, available in the States, and soon, coming soon, it'll be available in Canada as well. So definitely stay tuned.
You mentioned that you wanted to do a kids movie, maybe for your parents.
Yes.
Are you pretty much open to everything? Are you willing to not a horror kids movie, right? Please.
Well, maybe like Goosebumps a little bit.
Goosebumps, yeah. How do you juggle your time? Because also you're a current directing instructor at Vancouver Film School.
I am. I was just there yesterday.
Okay.
It's, for me, I think because film industry is a little bit, let's be honest, amigo, is a little inconsistent for some of us. So it's good to just kind of keep your cards open in different places that continue the inspiration in film. So for me, teaching students the directing class, it keeps me inspired. And also I think it's important to inspire the future generation of filmmakers. I think that's the only way we will continue to elevate the stories.
Well, I think one of the things I'm noticing, and there's so much more content, right? Like everywhere.
Yes.
That I think there's
And the demand
more,
for it too.
There's more opportunity for people to get together, maybe make a film
Yes.
than ever before.
It's so much easier now.
However,
Yeah.
that doesn't pay the bills so that's the hard thing. There's going to be a lot of stuff that has to be bootstrapped, and people are struggling in that way.
Agreed.
But it's so nice to be able to practice your craft, right?
100%. This craft is all about not getting discouraged.
Yeah.
For me, being also a filmmaker, it took me 18 short films to do my first feature. It took me many rejections as an actor to get my first lead role that I just got actually during the pandemic. Sometimes I think you have to also take those no's and those sweat, blood, and tears to make you stronger. And this is an industry where thick skin is really important. But like you were saying, to add to what you said, you can pick up your phone now and make a movie. You really
I know,
can.
well, it kind of goes back, and we've had that recurring. Like a lot of our listeners are, going to take that to heart because they are up and coming.
Yes.
They're wanting to be part of something. So if you had to give them one piece of advice, what would it be? Like you're just starting out, right?
Yeah, I think the best piece of advice I could give is to never be afraid of failure.
Okay.
Never be afraid of failure. Finish what you started and use those elements in the experience, whether good or bad, to learn from. And actually, to add to that, making Puppet Killer was a really intense, low-budget indie shoot. However, how cool that we can see it coming out. So things are possible when you can get the right team together, the right cast, and when everybody believes in something, the film will happen. It will get made.
Gigi Saul Guerrero, before we let you go, I want to
Sure.
ask you this because it's going to sound like a heavy topic, but we've seen a lot of things change, and you talk about diversity, and we all applaud that. But we've seen where it started, I think, with when Hank Azaria, who was the voice of Apu on The Simpsons,
Yes.
was kind of called out and started refusing to do the role anymore because it was sort of cultural appropriation or some term in that area. So, what do you think in today's world should if it's a Latino character, should it be played by a Latino? Can anybody play anything, or do you think we're in a weird spot right now?
You know what? I think we definitely are in a weird spot called cancel culture.
Yeah.
I think we are also very sensitive now with Gen Zs and everything going on, and it's easy to call out people. But I think if you represent something and you are confident into who you are, what you stand for, what you represent, talk about it. Mm-hmm. Share it with the world. It's not just about you. It's about sharing with the world.
And if you do it respectfully,
100%.
I think you're probably taken and given credit for it. But again, we do
Yes.
live in an interesting time. I'm so glad we met.
Thank you so much.
Puppet Killer will be seen in Canada when?
I believe very soon.
Very
I can't
soon?
say yet, but I'm so excited. So definitely follow Puppet Killer all over social media. Follow as well the director and the cast because soon we will promote everywhere where it's going. It's going to be available in Canada.
Delighted to meet you. You're a ball of energy.
Thank
and
you.
I have a feeling that when we have you back around the second year anniversary of the
Yes.
show, there
I
will be
would love
so much
that.
more on the resume.
I
Thank you
would
so
love
much.
that.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
my
much.
friends.
I enjoyed
Thank
that.
you.
Cheers.
Gore is love.